Sometimes I just don't understand why some things have to happen. And it's so sad when we see what happens around us and maybe we just keep quiet, we don't act, we don't help. Hey, So today it has been a sad situation, and it's not just today, it started 3 days ago, guys. And welcome to our channel, welcome to Life Saga. I was doing a video before, it just failed me and went off, and I had to restart another one. So we will not take a lot of time, maybe 30 minutes on the maximum before we can get back to edutainment for us. Thank you so much for those who are watching my videos all the time. I appreciate. So guys, Tanzania is allegedly killing a lot of foreigners, especially Kenyans. And these are news that have been shared by a lot of people, at a personal level, and even even the Kenyan NTV shared yesterday. One of the families with a teacher who has taught in Tanzania for 10 years have lost him, and they were mourning, and they got information about the death of their beloved. But as they try to go to Kinondo to get the body, they have not been able to do so. Meanwhile, the Heche has been actually accused of terrorism charges and has been taken to Kinondo currently, but he refused to write a statement, and he says he will only do so after court sessions. And I just don't know. When a country actually has a porous system, legislature, and all that, it's impossible even to handle them in terms of law. So I'm so sympathetic about the situation of the opposition and what happened to the vice chair. But there are high chances that HM might just have to suffer the same way we saw Chadema suffering. So of course, if you go back to the inauguration ceremony for Suluhu, you realize that Suluhu was actually, sworn in a moment of military surveillance. Let's check this video, for example. So of course, if you can recall the moment of inauguration, it happened under armed bodyguards with a lot of gunmen surrounding whatever was happening at the back and front. And all this was because Samia was not so sure that her inauguration would have happened in public in peace. Now, she actually says that 31 million people voted for her. But when it came to inauguration, she had to make sure that there was a lot of surveillance and security. Now, guys, if I may talk to you and just let you think about it, do you believe that she was so free, and even up to now she's so confident that she can go anywhere in Tanzania without worries? I doubt. And therefore, in her speech while she was giving her speech, this is what she had to say.
Kindiki, Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Anzuluni Isitoleketi, uchaguzi, viongozi wa vyama rafiki tuwezesha kushiriki sherehe hizi za kihistoria kwa taifa letu. Shukuru sana wenzangu 16 ambao kwa hakika wameonyesha ukomavu wa kidemokrasia kwa kuendesha kampeni ambazo Shinda kwenye nafasi za ubunge, ujumbe wa baraza la wawakilishi na udiwani kote nchini. Kwa wote ni wa...
All right, so that was the situation, and one of the speakers from this country has just expressed discontent and has indicated that a lot of people were actually killed, and Chama cha Mapinduzi does not have the rightful possession of that leadership. Now, away from that, of course, I wanted to show you some videos of how there was some counting, like people are literally ticking books, ballot papers. They were literally ticking them for Samia. And of course that happened, and those videos are just coming out one by one, and their appearance actually now clearly spells volumes about the just ended election in Tanzania. But away from that, during her speech, Samia clearly said that those who were arrested in Tanzania were not majorly Tanzanians, that we had some foreigners. And of course, we understood from the word go that some of them might be Kenyans, and they might not be as many. Maybe there were just few. Of course, we saw invasions at the borders with some individuals who went in to demonstrate. Let's see this.
The news to remember.
All right, guys, so welcome. Robert Atelia said, I can't see you. You shouldn't intentionally focus on seeing me, because I'm focusing on news and analyzing. Focus on what I'm doing than myself, all right? Because currently what we are focusing on is the stuff that is happening in Tanzania. And it's quite sad, because I know a lot of people who are Kenyans and they're in Tanzania. And some of them reach us out, and when they reach us out, they actually tell us about what is happening. And it's such a moment that is very saddening to have people whom perishing in a neighboring country, maybe because the president believes that Kenyans have been on the forefront to actually trigger the demonstrations. Okay. Robert Atieli is saying, I can't see the news. Of course, what you are seeing is the the shooting in darkness. So you would not actually see clearly what was happening, but that was a moment to show how the shotguns were being used, and they're currently being used in Tanzania to actually exhibit the killings right there. So I hope you've seen that, and we will continue to see more. So in fact, one person has also spoken, and this is an individual living in Tanzania. Let's just see this.
I live in Kwale County near Lungalunga, which is the border to Tanzania. Saa hii wale wa Kenya wako Tanzania wanatoroka wanakuja pande ya Kenya, guys. It's so sad. If you have a family member in Tanzania, this is what I'm reporting. If you have any member of Kenyan origin, leave Uganda, leave DRC, leave Zambia. The government of Tanzania is targeting Kenyans. They say they are the ones when you waliandamana, they are citizens hawakuandamana, and they want to put them behind bars. They don't care if you work as a boda. They don't care about anything. Right now, hapa kwa boda ni mbili za Tanzania. Kuna Namanga na kuna Lungalunga. Right now, a lot of people are wanatoroka wanakuja pande hii ya Kenya because the government has declared a war towards the Kenyan citizen. Guys, this report I'm telling, hata mkubwa wa polisi wa huko amesema Mkenya wote wako huko, hiyo tabia ya kuandamana ni tabia ya Wakenya. Watanzania hawawezi kuandamana, hiyo ni sisi tumewaletea. Hawajawahi ona hiyo tangu hata wakati Julius Nyerere alikuwa. The last time watu waliandamana siku ile Amin alivamia huko. That's what the commission of police is saying there. So guys, if you have a member of your family, friends, relatives, or anybody who is in Tanzania, check on them. They are not okay, guys. They are not okay. You are being arrested. Unatolewa kwa nyumba kama umbwa, unapelekwa polisi. And remember, this government is killing people, guys. The Tanzania government is killing people. Right now, as we speak, 900 people are down. They are dead. Hapa kwa boda sasa watu wanarudi kwa mwenye alikuwa Tanzania analiingia ameenda Mwanza, amerudi.
All right, guys, so you can clearly see what this lady is sharing from the borders of Lunga Lunga. So the sharing is indicating that we have people from the border inside Tanzania who are running to the borders. And as I told you, I've been living also on the borders of Taita Taveta, which is the Taveta border of Tanzania, okay? And clearly, when these things... All right, so it's clear that when such things are happening, of course, many people will say maybe it's a lie or it's whatever. But as I've told you, I have taught a lot of students who currently now work in Tanzania. And also we have families who are Kenyans, now they live in Tanzania. And I'm really sympathetic for them. I hope that they'll not meet such a challenge as what we have been just shown here. So clearly, as you've been told, now the total death is at 1,000 individuals, and unfortunately the bodies were carried and dumped in the oceans and rivers and what have you, because Tanzania does not want to have evidence of people who are dead in their country, so they are trying so much to hide that information, and that is why we have death. But we can have evidence from those who are there and what they are saying. Listen to this. Hey, the bundles are actually...
Now, in the process of headhunting for foreigners, the Tanzanian government made the grave mistake.
Ukija kama mko manman mabamba mnakulishwa. Amina kama ni bulanda. Mapleo sabati moja bulanda mama inaini fulat.
We've got some quite disturbing coming in from Tanzania, and actually fresh protests may hit the waves in Tanzania again. Why? Because Tanzanians are now realizing 7 footballers from Tanzania have been killed during the Tanzanian massacre.
Yani tulikuwa tunasema huyu wetu ni Kipinje the butcher. Butcher man. My friend tulikosea. After chenye tumeona kutoka TZ.
Hey, today Safaricom has decided to really drink every other coin that we place in. So of course, from yesterday we had indicated clearly that Tanzania was having a looming ICC case. And I think when SULUHU knows this, that is why they are clearing bodies. Whenever they kill, they clear the bodies. Now, from that individual who has talked from Lunga Lunga side, you clearly see that if people are not going to run away from Tanzania, however many years you've lived, of course you saw one family that have lived in Tanzania for 10 years. Now, the 33-year-old gentleman, John, is no more, and the body cannot be found because the family received a call indicating that their loved one had died, but when they tried to pursue the body, they could not find it. And also, we have evidence. I'm just trying to look for more videos to show this.
Now, I want us to start today's conversation by reading this.
Look at this. Yeah, so of course some people are telling us this. One of the messages is from Misiba Claire. Africa is moving a very dangerous trajectory. We are sensitized to normalize dictatorship, bad governance, and abuse of human rights. Of course, from most of you who have been watching what is happening in Tanzania, it's like, SULUHU has playing it cool and has said that there is nothing bad that is happening in Tanzania, that peace is there. But the reality is that even currently, the people who live in Tanzania, when they call us in Kenya, they tell us that things are not very fine. People are being pulled from houses. You are being asked for a Tanzanian ID or your ID. If you are from Kenya, you are picked and you disappear. Okay? So these situations, as I've said, they did not start today or yesterday. Suluhu has always thought that Kenyans are so aggressive. I don't know whether that is true. Maybe you can drop your comment on the comment section. And from that front, she has been on the front line to actually ensure that she attacks Kenyans. The other time, Mother Karua was there and Boniface Mwangi, among others, and they were really molested. And unfortunately, in their own parliament, many cabinet ministers stood up and said that it was rightful for them to be molested. They even said that Boniface Mwangi was supposed to be beaten until he came back in Kenya with a gas cooker on his chest. And I was like, what is this? Anyway, it is unfortunate because when I look in Kenya, there are so many Tanzanian individuals, and they come around, they do business. Look at how people are being molested. Look at this. Look at this. So after all those moments of demonstrations, they want to say these were foreigners from Kenya who stood in the streets. And of course, we have live bullets that happened from these guys. I want to show you one video that will give you the shooting. There was one video here. There was one video that was showing the shootouts that were happening. Let me check for it. Yeah, so in one video, we actually saw live bullets, and these guys were running around and saying that it's even worse than the situation of Somalia. Let me just check for that video. You know, when you have checked a lot of videos, you get a lot of, where is this? But meanwhile, let's check on France 24 English.
Our security forces. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was declared the winner with more than 97% of the vote, faces growing international condemnation. Human Rights Watch denounced what it called a violent and lethal crackdown. Olivia Bizot has more. After days of internet blackout, images are slowly emerging, including some that show bodies on the street. The opposition party, Chadema, says over 1,000 people were killed during last week's election violence and accuses security forces of secretly disposing of bodies.
For the past few days, we heard the reports that police are going in various hospitals collecting dead bodies of those who were killed during the protests. And we hear some of them are being buried in mass graves. Okay, so these are things that we want the international body like the UN to come and establish.
Western governments, including the UK, Norway and Canada, say they've seen credible reports of a large number of fatalities, while Human Rights Watch has condemned what it calls a violent crackdown.
Tanzania elections that have just concluded were clearly marred by violence. We've seen reports of abuses by the security forces, killings, the use of live ammunition, as well as tear gas against protesters.
President Samia Suluhu Hassan was inaugurated on Monday after being re-elected with almost 98% of the vote.
All right, so that is one of the video evidence, and let's get to another. Another evidence was somewhere here. So it was a big lie actually for Samia to stand in a speech moment and say that the foreigners are the ones who are inciting Tanzanians, because I don't think there is a country whereby the foreigners are like almost 70%, because if you look at her inauguration, which was so fully guarded, it means that she feared that there was a problem, and that is why she wanted an entire army around her. Anyway, let's check on this. I think it's this video here. There's this, and there is the Kenyan teacher shot dead in Tanzania.
Tanzanian officials as reported.
es Salaam and issued a warning.
So we have to stop pretending that countries that just hold an election where sometimes the difference is.
President Samia Suluhu Hassan has just claimed 98% of the vote in an election marred by arrests, censorship, and fear. And as protests spread and borders burn, Kenyans have become the new scapegoats of Tanzania's tightening regime. What began as a post-election anger is now a regional crisis, echoing the very warning Obama gave about democracy's decay in Africa.
Mimi, Samia Suluhu Hassan.
On October 28, 2025, Tanzania held its general elections. Between November 3rd and 5th, crackdown expanded beyond its own citizens. Dozens of Kenyans were detained in coordinated raids across Dar es Salaam, Arusha, and Mwanza. At Ubungo bus terminal, police rounded up passengers, confiscating IDs and mobile phones. In Kariakoo Market, traders reported night raids targeting Kenyan-owned stalls. Witnesses say some detainees were driven to unknown locations and have not been seen since.
Guys, I'm reporting this because it's what I got. The news, remember, I live in Kwale County near Lungalunga, which is the border to Tanzania. Saa hii wale wa Kenya wako Tanzania wanatoroka, wanapita. Mkubwa wa polisi wa huko amesema Mkenya yote wako huko, hiyo tabia ya kuandamana ivamie huko. That's what the commission of police is saying there. So guys, if you have a member of your family, friends, relative, or anybody who is in Tanzania, check on them. They are not okay.
Authorities claim these arrests target foreign agitators who allegedly crossed from neighboring countries to fuel unrest, but there is no proof of that. Human rights groups say there is convenient distraction, a government deflecting blame for internal chaos by blaming outsiders.
Kuna kikundi cha watu baada ya kuona wameshindwa kuvuruga amani ya nchi yetu, wameunda kikundi cha vijana ambao wanaandaa picha mjongeo na taarifa mbalimbali za matukio yaliyotokea siku za nyuma ambayo yalishashughulikiwa na mengine ya kunga ili yawasambaze kwenye mitandao ya kijamii yaonekane yametokea kipindi hiki au muda mfupi uliopita.
This is not new. In May 2025, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Martha Karua were detained while attending Tundu Lissu's treason trial.
Oh, all right. So looking at that, of course, plus other evidence, I'm still looking. There was a video that was showing live bullet shootouts. I don't know where it is. I'm trying to check on it. The firearms right there. But there is one.
Past few days, we had the reports that police are going in various hospitals collecting dead bodies of those who were killed during the protest. And we hear some of them are being buried in mass graves. Okay, so these are the things that we want the international board like the UN to come and establish. Okay, we hear some of them are being thrown in the Indian Ocean, and we hear some of them are being gathered in body bags and thrown Ruvu River, which has lots of, it is famous, has lots of crocodiles, so that when you throw them, that's the food for the crocodile.
Quite sad. It's quite sad. So, of course, when you get that information clearly indicating that particularly not individuals from Rwanda, Zambia, or even Uganda being targeted, but majorly those from Kenya. Of course, a report from Kwale, from the people who stay there, and even those, as I told you, some of the students I taught are in Tanzania. Some of them teach there, and they have been indicating that the situation in Tanzania is quite unfortunate. If you are a Kenyan, you are being hunted down, you are picked, your IDs, your phones are confiscated, and even if you are just a worker there, no one cares. They have to actually try to show credibility to whatever Samia said in inauguration ceremony, that they are foreigners who caused the demonstrations in Tanzania and not the Tanzanians themselves. So what has happened is finally hunting down people. Some of them are being killed. You've seen some of the footages here on the harassment. And of course, there is a family in Kenya with a teacher who has lived in Tanzania for 10 years, and he was hunted down and killed. So here the family was actually sad about the situation. If you cannot withstand such news, please, you can maybe bear with us for 2 minutes before we come back to other news of how the international bodies are taking up such actions against Tanzania. Let's look at this.
The body of John. John went to Tanzania to work 8 years ago. John is a coward man. Very coward. But even when my father died, it is with the ladies of this things head on. John is a coward that could not even exchange words with his younger brother. He would run away. I don't know. Sincerely, I don't know. I don't know for how long we are going to be tortured, emotionally and psychologically. I don't know for how long. I think it is time. The rest we leave to God. If it was the will of God that my brother was going to rot in a foreign country, we say thank you.
So these are partly just a part of the family. Remember, look at this picture. This was the teacher who has taught in Tanzania. He has taught in Tanzania for almost 10 years, but he was killed in the process. And even though they received a call to go pick the body, when they arrived at the mortuary at Kinondo, they did not find the body. So they have kept urging the authorities of Tanzania to have a way in the body, but automatically they will not possibly get it. And so the family has just been left to mourn on an absent body. So actually we have shocking footages despite the internet lockdown of Tanzania, of what has been happening since even before the election and up to now.
It's not just a Tanzanian crisis, it is an African crisis. It is a crisis of democracy, a crisis of legitimacy, and a crisis that exposes the rot at the heart of our continental institutions that were supposed to protect us from exactly this kind of tyranny. On President Samia Suluhu Hassan took the oath of office in what can only be described as a fortress ceremony, a private inauguration held within the heavily guarded confines of the State House military parade. We may never know, but their presence is chilling. They sent a mass text message directly to the phones of citizens across the country. The message was clear. Do not share content that may cause distress or degrade someone's dignity. Read that again. In the middle of a massacre, as their fellow citizens were being killed for protesting, Tanzanians received a message on their personal devices warning them not to share anything that might be distressing. This wasn't a public service announcement. Then officially, it didn't happen. But here's what they didn't count on. The truth has a way of leaking out. Those images, those videos, those testimonies, they're making their way onto platforms through VPNs, through satellite connections, through sheer human determination to be heard. And where, you might ask, is the African Union in all of this? Oh, they released a statement. Over the weekend, the AU congratulated President Hassan on her election victory, while gently urging her government to uphold fundamental rights and freedoms. Congratulated her. Let that sink in. The African Union, the institution that was born out of the ashes of the organised word, and if you control the Electoral Commission, the security forces and the media, you can call anything you want democracy. What the African people are seeing in Tanzania, they're seeing their worst fears confirmed, that voting doesn't matter when those in power have decided the outcome in advance, that peaceful protest will be met with bullets, that continental institutions that are supposed to protect them are useless, that their voices, their votes.
When you look at these pictures, actually, they are not even palatable to keep watching. But it's unfortunate that AU, which was supposed to enhance peace and actually go after Suluhu and ensure that there is a safety of the citizens, has not done anything. Instead, they have kept quiet. But what is going on right now in Tanzania, it's a very devastating situation that nobody would wish to have. Yeah. So whether it's by voice or by footages or all that, whatever is happening right there, it's devastating. And of course, at the borders, some people are their way back to their country, but it's not easy. From the communication I've even had with some people I know that had left to Tanzania, it's not easy to exit from Tanzania currently to the country. And of course, with the heavy losses and all that, it's just a devastating situation that I don't want to take a lot of time talking about. But all I would wish is that international bodies maybe should intervene, because AU, a body that was found on grounds of holding presidents accountable, has failed us. When it came out to celebrate and congratulate the president of Tanzania, and at the end of the day, they had to go and attend the private swearing in. They never even asked themselves why there was this private arrangement and instead of a public one. So there was a last footage I wanted to show, then close down the chapter, because it is just devastating to keep looking at this. It's not a session that you can want to keep looking at. All that I just wish is that the safety of citizens should be considered, and as well as foreigners, because some foreigners went to Tanzania not to demonstrate, but they have been working there. I know a lot of people who actually went to Tanzania as nurses, as doctors, as teachers, lecturers in Dar es Salaam and universities, Aga Khan University. I've also been seeing a lot of people going there to study, you know. So it's unfortunate that all of them have now been labeled as demonstrators, and they have been indicated to have the habit of demonstration. Therefore, they are being hunted down and harassed from different fronts. And this may be a xenophobic situation, because if all of them are being demonized and placed in a cluster of demonstrators, then what is going to happen? Let's check on, there was this one. Yeah, so even when you check the inauguration itself, Suluhu had hired a squad, a death squad, to oversee the process and ensure that no one was invading, invading the private moment in Dodoma. So that already tells us that she was not confident that she won the election, because if you have won election, why would you have to hire such individuals to come right there to protect or oversee or ensure that they shield you from anything? If you have been elected by 31 million people, few foreigners cannot stop you from that. So let me just take on the last video, and maybe we get to, yeah, I think it's this. Is it this? Yeah.
Tells create has far-reaching consequences.
When that happens, expect the pressure to hit of one of the most the matter.
If we're serious about fighting global criminal groups, we need to work with our allies.
In a statement that laid bare SULUHU's regime is now actively pursuing the matter.
If we're serious about fighting global criminal groups, we need to work with our allies.
In a statement that Washington has been looking for a way to go after Tanzania over its growing alignment with China, now considered a major trade rival by the US.
How big of a threat is China?
It's like everybody else. We're a threat to them too.
And the aftermath of this bloody election may be just the excuse the US needed.
Yeah, so when you look at these footages right here, you also see what was happening in Tanzania. You realize that during the time of election, people are simply tick. Easton Jail, welcome.
Kijana. Vipi? Washamaliza kubumba bumba.
Linking it to murder.
Yeah, so when you look at that, people are simply ticking in the ballot, on the ballot papers, then throwing them in the ballot boxes. So there was no voting going on.
Charges. In Tanzania, disturbing footage is circulating showing police officers dressed in civilian clothing randomly shooting people even inside homes.
Kama Somalia, kama Somalia. Kama Somalia.
Tena nao tushavuka hiyo stage, tumewalilia sana. Kwani CCM ni wakina nani? Wanakaa wapi? Wao nao watiwe.
Yeah, so if you look down in information that is coming out, it's unfortunate that we have about 6 footballers from Tanzania who are killed. And they are Tanzanian citizens, they are not Kenyan citizens. So in the process of actually giving false information or online, or rather through their own, situation, it's so bad that a country would actually turn against even its own and later on now blame on foreigners. So I just think that it's a scapegoat that Samia is actually now blaming Kenya and having the military hunt down Kenyans and destroy them, arrest them, torture them. If they really tortured Boniface Mwangi when there was nothing to that could cause torture, what about this time? And I foresaw this earlier because when Samia actually was sworn in, she said clearly on the podium that the military should now go around, the regional leaders of the police should go around and make sure that they really handle the matter. And this was a moment of reckoning. I saw a lot of darkness and bloodshed coming because even if you have lived in Tanzania for 20 years, as long as they know you are Kenyan, they are now going to take an opportunity to grab what is in your house and torture you with your family. And in the process, of course, we have seen how the armies are handling people there. All they are doing is to molest them. And at the end of the day, we'll have more people dying, people disappearing without being found, because if they have decided to dump their bodies in the ocean and in the river, as well as mass graves, then there is no way actually these people will ever be found. And it's a very unfortunate situation because, of course, a day earlier we saw the airport had a shutdown and all that. And regardless of the situation looking like it's better, they have already said that they should be tight border security. And people are getting a problem to walk away from the situation at the same time. You saw the lady at Kwale reporting and indicating that if you have any relative in Tanzania, you should find a way to actually help them get out of Tanzania. But I'm just wondering, how will you go in when they are not allowing Kenyans to go in unless you use a Ugandan or any other person? It's not even safe for anybody who is outside Tanzania currently to walk right into the problem that is ahead of them. So I am just wondering what happened to the observers who were indicated by Samia to have overseen the election. Ako wapi? Vaa sweta na umuita mwambie sitaki stress mimi. Yeah, so it's such an unfortunate situation. Na si wote mmoja tu. Yeah, so it's such an unfortunate situation that in Africa we have begun using guns randomly. Instead of using them when we are supposed to, we are now using it as a tool of dictatorship. And it's a very bad situation that is causing a lot of shivers in so many families because, as I've said, I know so many people who live in Tanzania and they work there as doctors. Makene Msafiri 5414, welcome. We are almost ending our video because we've done our analysis based on what we've seen in Tanzania, and it's just an unfortunate situation. We've seen what Obama said, what Trump has said.
As a member of SADC, I want us to look at the reaction from SADC because SADC has observation mission. Now, according to the mission statement again, the arrest of opposition has disowned because according to them, someone who Tanzanians were not there. It was just the invited few who were.
Alright, so I think we come to an end of this. There was some disruption and I was unable to actually get back to my videos. And generally we have 16 heads who have rejected the election in Tanzania. And also Sadiq and other international observers have opened up on Samia Suluhu tactics that he used to actually acquire his leadership. So we just pray that God will actually protect the families of many foreigners, including Kenyans who are in Tanzania. And maybe there should be intervention process that will allow the families that have been in Tanzania to come back to Kenya or wherever it is safely. Because what does it really pay to kill citizens of another country? I've been looking at situations of even South Africa and Nigeria. And it has been very devastating to look at those wars that have been happening between Nigeria and South Africa because they all cause xenophobic moment. Xenophobia is not a very good situation in a country. And I don't know, when Tanzanian president is doing this, does she know that we have a lot of Tanzanians in Kenya? Actually, when I was doing my construction of my house, commercial house in Mwatate, the masons who are working on my house are purely Tanzanians. So I don't know why she's doing this. Joshua Francis 1362, welcome. I don't know why she has opted to do this because in all towns in Kenya, in fact, I've been in Mwingi, I've been in Isiolo, I've been in Garissa, I've been in Voi, I've been in Mwatate, Mombasa. I've also been in Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kakamega, Kitale, Bungoma, and all these places, they have Tanzanian citizens selling jewelry, air fresheners, necklaces, earrings on the streets, and no one treats them unfairly. So I don't know when Samia actually now believes that demonstrators or demonstration is a habit of Kenyans, and therefore they are the ones who caused the problem in Tanzania, and all of them, whether they have been working in Tanzania or business or whatever they should be either done away with, whichever way. It becomes a very controversial thing that is now becoming a regional crisis. And how I wish African Union should intervene. But when I look at what Mohammed said, or rather congratulated Samia after this kind of a flawed election, I am not just able to trust AU anymore. But I hope that international bodies will intervene, and Kenya will also sort out, seek on how to help the citizens come back to the nation safely. Otherwise, we come to the end of this. I really appreciate you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel as well to enhance our growth and our ability to get more news from all over the world. Thank you so much. May God bless you in your endeavors. Bye-bye for now. Let's meet later tomorrow in another researched news analysis.